Marina, welcome here. Welcome to the booth.
Thank you.
So we have you here in the booth, and you wear a lot of different hats. I saw,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
food logistics, supply and demand chain, executive, women in supply chain forum,
Yes.
right? Lots of different things. So tell us a little bit about kind of just your overall takeaway so far. I'm sure you're looking at many different things here at the show.
We're doing a lot of what we call relationship building and nurturing. We're trying to, meet folks, trying to see if we can get some speakers for our forum. We're also connecting with a lot of our winners and just, making sure we get pictures with them and get them on social and congratulate them. And we have a lot of
I saw
winners.
your post this morning.
Yeah, we have
Was that just announced or is that
our
the
rock
official?
stars.
Yeah, the rock stars.
We announced the winners today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and some
nice.
of them are here at the show. We have a lot of top tech startup winners at the show as well. So we just are kind of just walking the floor but also learn and talk to, learn what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
your background in journalism. I mean,
Correct.
You've got a vast knowledge of different things that you've done there, and I saw all the different. I call them magazines, even though they're probably not really magazines anymore. From Ironworks, all the different publications that come out, which are all, I'm sure now all digital.
Actually, they're all print.
They do print them still?
Yeah,
Okay.
we only have one that's digital only, but the
All
rest
right,
are
well,
print.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
interesting. Paper still
Here I
lives.
thought
Paper still
'cause
lives.
Yeah.
I had a discussion last night with my brother-in-law about the paper. He goes, I still get the paper. I like to hold that paper and you can scan it and look at it.
Yeah.
I said, well, you're one of a few. You know,
There's
we-
still some out there.
I only say that because we finally just canceled the Sunday paper.
Oh.
We did it for the ads, and the ads are no longer any good.
That's heartbreaking.
But anyway.
Shed a little tear there for the
Yeah,
Sunday
right?
paper
I
at
know.
Rob's
I know.
house. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
believe me, the Tribune keeps calling me back. We want you back.
Yeah.
What do you really care about me? I mean, come on.
So Marina, I'm curious. I mean, as you're here, obviously you're connecting with a lot of your winners, as you mentioned. And any particular ones maybe you want to shout out? Rob just mentioned you guys
Oh my
announced
God, you're
the
putting
rock
me on the
stars this
spot
morning.
here.
I mean,
Well, we have a lot of pros to know winners here. We have
Yeah.
not announced those winners yet. Those will be announced around Modex.
Okay.
Usually that's when we time it.
Yeah.
That's kind of our big show there.
Can you give a tease?
A lot of them are here, and I've taken pictures with some of them if you follow me on LinkedIn.
Ooh, okay. We're dropping breadcrumbs here.
I saw that. I
Just
saw
a couple. But we've had a lot of repeat winners, which I love because it shows that they're continuing to do things that are good for the industry. So they're not just stopping at, yes, I'm CEO, that's all I do. They're still innovating and growing and creating things that are meaningful and impactful for the supply chain.
Yeah, I think that's great, and certainly we see a lot of innovation here as we're, the future of supply chain logistics is the tagline, right? So I'm curious, in your years, I think I saw maybe it's been like 13 years you've been in the space, right, as a journalist. What have maybe stands out the most to you from an innovation perspective that's really like, wow, like I can't believe like we're doing this now?
Yeah, I think when COVID hit, it kind of fast-tracked everything that the industry had been doing from a digital standpoint, like the digitalization part of it.
Yeah.
But I think what has just amazed me is how quickly everybody has just grasped it and used it as a stepping stone to keep developing. Now we have Internet of Things. Now we're going electrification. There's just all these things that are just, compounding it all. But the fact that COVID happened fast-tracked it. But people are still moving ahead. They're still doing it.
Yeah.
So, and I see a lot of that at the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's pretty amazing to see, because we started this podcast in 2019 and went to ProMat then, and to see like just at the trade shows, like the technology that's just developed in, those 5 years is insane in my mind. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious, like, what do you think, where do you guys see as, some of the technologies that are going to stand out this year?
So I think electrification is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a big thing not because it has to be a big thing. California's mandating it. Certain states are going to follow suit. But I think that digital supply chain is so important because it provides the optimization and the visibility that a lot of these supply chains need. There's always disruptions. There's always been disruptions. They were just never so vast.
So big, yeah.
And they're, it's all at once. While there may be, a bridge collapse, there's also stuff going on overseas. There may be a hurricane in one part of the United States and then a tornado in another, and it's wiping out cold storage units, or it's disrupting fleets being able to get to and from places. So there's just a lot of things, and I don't think that that's going to ever go away. So I think companies really, if they haven't already, really need to sit down and evaluate what are they doing manual, and do they have to be doing it manual?
Very interesting. Yeah, I think that's really a really great point, because I mean there is like that overall just supply chain resilience that people are looking for, and I think that's so key. And you mentioned something there about the cold storage units, right? And I think, food logistics, I imagine you guys talk about cold storage a lot. So I'm curious your perspective on that, because there's certainly a lot of demand in the market for cold storage, cold space. How are you seeing that maybe kind of getting alleviated a little bit, if it's getting alleviated at all?
It is. We see a lot of temperature tracking controls inside the fleets that are helping manage that. A lot of the driver safety is happening to kind of protect the drivers, to alert them if maybe the unit is not at temp. But what we're also seeing is companies are either partnering with 3PLs who have cold storage capabilities, so that they can have that product closer to home, so to speak, so that they don't have to deal with highways and different routes. So we're seeing a lot of that. If they don't have the infrastructure, they're finding a company that does and working with them.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's it's a very fascinating part of the space, because there is so much sensitivity around it, and it's something that we all need, right? Food, at some point, right? So it's very interesting to see how that kind of is developing. Is there any you mentioned some trackers and sensors and things like that? I mean, is there any technology in the cold space that stands out to you?
Not specifically. I think all of them are important, and I think all of them do a good job of doing different things, whether it's protecting the driver, or protecting the truck, or the food. The GPS tracking is pretty cool, because we see a lot of missed routes. Think about your address verification is a big thing. Drivers trying to drop something off, and maybe the address is just a little off. I mean, how many times do you guys get packages for your neighbors? And vice versa. You're hunting it down. So I think that's a big thing.
What we have found, and we do some cold shipping, some of the trackers that are out there, and some of the trucks have it built in, but a lot of the tracking devices will give you anything from temperature, the humidity, obviously the GPS location of the truck, and it will integrate with the customer's system, so that it will give them updated readings for whatever period that they want. But when you pull into a place, when those doors open, they have a gun, and they'll point it at the load.
Oh yeah.
If it's not at the right temp,
it's done.
It's
not
done.
salvageable.
But to your point about the regionalization, we're seeing a lot more of that, where you can ship stuff. You can have 6 different locations instead of shipping everything from, let's say, New Bergen, New Jersey. You might have a place in Ohio, and you might have a place in the Chicago area, and then maybe even Des Moines. And so you can, especially if you're feeding something like a fast food place, so you can, there's shorter runs and save money. So.
But it's also in e-commerce too. We're seeing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Wayfair. That's a digital-only company, e-commerce, and they're building distribution centers, like brick-and-mortar distribution centers.
Well, one of the sessions yesterday, we're talking about trying to, say, keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Right.
Amazon has set the bar with the one-day delivery. So, direct to consumer, people have these expectations. I mean, I use an example of a fast food restaurant in a drive-thru. When drive-thrus came out, 40 years ago, whatever they did, 30 years ago, how impatient are we as Americans when we can't wait 3.5 minutes for your damn hamburger, and there's someone behind you honking, and I'm thinking, I'm not back there cooking. I can't make you wait. Get out of your car and go inside. But anyway, my point is, we as consumers in America, we want it now. People, the attention spans of people through all the media and technology, it's just insane. So that sort of has forced the hand too on some of those distributions.
Wow, Rob, are you blaming us, the media, here for this?
No, I'm saying
he canceled his Sunday paper. So
yeah. We got some beef
scoring
now.
some bad points here. I'll call it technology then, because we're we're a country of instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
would you
I
agree with
think
that?
it's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's such a good point. And I will say, drive-through Chick-fil-A, that's like a case study there in logistics to how efficient they've made that with everything. But it's very interesting to see kind of all the evolution in the space, and it's really great to see that too. I mean, I'm curious from all the different recognitions that you guys do, which I think is such a great thing to do for the industry, because sometimes I think that. I mean, now maybe since the pandemic, supply chain gets a little more attention, but it is such like kind of a thankless thing at times. It's only gets attention when something goes wrong sometimes,
exactly.
right? So I mean, how can people get involved in that or get considered? What's some of the qualifications?
Yeah, all of our awards are nomination based. So we don't select them. We only select the winners based off of their submission form. So tell us a story, fill it out completely.
If you didn't submit, you're not going to win. So.
Yeah, you got to be in it to win it.
Oh, you got to be in it.
So I don't nominate.
We're
and I
learning
always
here.
tell people, take the time. They can go
Do
to our
people
website.
nominate themselves, or does
So
other
they
people
do.
nominate? Like, if I wanted to nominate this guy here, saying that because I've known him since he started, doing this, and to say what he's doing and the growth. I have a level of appreciation for guys like Kevin that are doing what they're doing.
So we
I'll
get them.
nominate you next time.
Thank you.
So now I'm expecting a submission form.
I'll do it.
Hint. But you people submit other colleagues. They submit partners. We are working with companies to kind of get people to nominate themselves more, especially with our People Awards, because you are your best advocate. You only know what you can do, and if you're not nominating yourself, nobody else will. And so we keep trying to filter that in through companies, like be a part of it.
Yeah.
You do great work. Be recognized for it.
Yeah.
I always felt funny about that, like to self-nominate.
It
yourself.
is. I know people.
Is that a little awkward? Am I like trying to be braggy braggerson?
No, I tell people, look at it like you've earned it.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes you gotta take like a step back and just say like, hey, like I've done something here.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta put yourself out there. I know it's a hard place.
It is.
But
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do it. That does it. No, I'm kidding.
I'm
a behind the scenes guy.
I'm waiting.
Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm gonna keep an eye out for that.
We're here today for the nomination of
touch
Rob.
on,
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on one of your Women in Supply Chain forum and a recent article that you just put out. I forget which publication it was, but I read the article, and it talked about the equality, diversity, and inclusion, and how here we are. And I'll tell you right now, being a guy, I thought the number was pretty good because it's 49% of companies that have involvement now, which is probably, I thought it would have been lower. And the coolest thing is, it was lower only a year ago at 22%. So
that's a big jump. Yeah.
I mean, we're not where we need to be yet, but isn't that impressive?
But it's progress, and that's why we do these awards, because that is progress. It's growth. It's people not just checking a checkbox because DEI is cool. It's following through and making sure that all of your campaigns and all of your efforts are in place and working. So it's
doesn't
a good
that make
number.
a healthier workplace for all the companies that do
It does.
take part in that? I mean, you're
there's
not.
studies that have shown the company culture is just a better environment for people.
Right. You shouldn't live in fear.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think people are afraid to speak up about certain things. And if you embrace that, you're saying, "Hey, look, we're all in this together, and we're all cool. We're all people."
Life's too short to be in a position that you're not happy with.
Absolutely. Very good points there. And I think those very good takeaways as well. So, Marina, I want to thank you so much for coming by the
Thank you for
booth and
having
talking
me.
to us. Thank you for what you do for the industry.
Oh, thank you.
And the big takeaway, nominate yourself. Yeah.
Nominate yourself.
What the hell are you waiting for? Come on, let's do it.
Just do it. You
All
gotta
right.
to win it. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
So,
appreciate
I
it.
mean, if people want to get in touch, like, what's the best way to go? I mean, you got
can
so many
email
things
me
going on.
directly
Yeah.
at mayor@iron.markets. But you can also go to foodlogistics.com or sdcexec.com and find all the information there.
All
You're an
right.
Illinois person that lives north of Chicago.
That's correct.
All
I love
right.
this.
Ooh, some
Need
socks.
these in the winter.
Yeah,
Yes.
keep you warm there back in Illinois. All right,
Exactly.
Marina. Thank you so much for
I
coming
appreciate
by.
it. Thank you.
All right.